You are live.
Wow. Well, folks, welcome to Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner. Fantastic to be back in the saddle. You've just gotten on the biggest safari vehicle on the planet, which is fantastic to have you on board. You can interact with us through hashtags at Safari Live. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. I'm a little bit excited because there's line just through here, and they've gone into some really, really thick country, and I'm going to try and catch up with them. You can also ask us questions at WildEarthTV. I've got Tebs on camera with me this morning. We're going to get going. I've got to negotiate through this very, very tricky terrain here and see if we can find these line. We just had them. They've gone down in this very, very tricky country. I can hear another vehicle. So let's just get going, guys, and see if we can find out. I'll do some more intros with you in a minute and just try and get all the housekeeping out of the way. But drainage line, just in case you're not sure what that is a dry riverbed. Just watch that thorn there, Tebs. Some very, very nasty monkey thorn here. I'm driving over some small trees, everyone. Don't be alarmed because they do bounce back up. We choose what we drive over very, very carefully. But the great thing about these little vehicles, or short wheelbase vehicles we have, is they go nearly anywhere. But when these lines go down into thick country, it's very, very tricky to negotiate. You probably saw the guys through the week getting through very, very tricky country. I remember James was trying to find that leopard, and it just gets so thick down in there. But we're going to give it a go. And you're with us every step of the way. You never know what's around the next corner. Listening for alarm calls. He's just in here somewhere. So what I'm going to do is cross back over to Peter. Peter's going to give you a little good morning, and we'll carry on looking for this line and come back to you as soon as we find something. I'll see you just now. Well, let's do this rather. Good morning and welcome here, as always, in Djuma Game Reserve. It's a fantastic, action-filled morning to start with. As we're heading out camp, Brent and them spotted two cats here, but not only two cats, two species of cats as well. Hayden, of course, with a lion. We are following up on a leopard that was in the area. Hopefully we can find him. It's a bit of tricky driving here, and as always, welcome to the Sunrise Safari. It's going to be a beautiful day and looking forward to it. And as always, welcome to the Sunrise Safari. It's going to be a beautiful day and looking forward to it. I've driven myself into a tricky spot here now, and I want to turn around again because those Franklins actually sound like a good morning call. Standing by, Brent. I want to turn around again because those Franklins actually sound like a good morning call. Standing by, Brent. Don't hear you at the moment. Whereabouts are you? I saw you driving a little bit north from me earlier. That's just Brent on the radio. Yeah, I heard the Franklin just behind me, just on the sort of northwestern side of the drainage line. So I'm just turning around again. Beautiful sunrise there.
Andrew's on camera this morning. He's normally flying the drone. This morning we don't have a drone out, so he's coming with us. And you won't see him, but Drew's also along with us. Oh, that's brilliant. I've got a little bit of tricky driving to do here, which usually I wouldn't mind you hanging around for, but I think Hayden might be catching up to that line again soon. So enjoy it with him. I'll see you back in a bit.
Folks, I've just stopped here to try and hear if there was any alarm calls from any antelope or any other animals. The lion came off quarantine and went into this really, really thick country down here, and it's gone down into this drainage line, and it's impenetrable for us in this sort of country. We can't really go any further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and just go back up and see if I can see him from there. You can see a road across the other side there. Just see that little tiny bit of road just over there. There you go, yeah, that little bit of road there. I'm going to go over there and see if I can follow that drainage line down. It's the other side, but we've got to go back and all the way around because this country here is just too thick, and we're driving over too much vegetation. He is in there, and if we can find him, we will find him, of course. That's the whole thing about Safari Live, and we do it with good ethics and morals, and just make sure that we give the animal right of way, but at the same time try and get the animal visual. Just before we went live, he dropped down into that drainage line, and I tried to follow, but really, really tricky country through there. And these vehicles are incredibly well adapted for this sort of terrain. Very short wheelbase, and we get through. Brent came up onto quarantine and saw the line and gave us a quick call, and I rushed across to try and find it. So there's impala just here, and if the line was anywhere around here, these impala would probably know about it. So what we will do is peel up around here. What a fantastic week it's been, hey? Incredible stuff. Beautiful leopard last night, 2 leopard, you know, to see Shadow and Mvula in the last 15 minutes of the program was just extraordinary. And, you know, Peter and James's patience and perseverance always pays off. But you know, Scott and Jandre's sighting yesterday was just incredible. To have them on foot spotting leopard and seeing where they were, and that leopard didn't know they were there, was a pretty extraordinary encounter. I could feel the excitement for them. So I've just got to try and get back up to this road. We're on a little game path here. And you know what, Brent and the guys and the trackers, they're always out for us. So it's a huge team effort, and it's just a really great thing to be part of it. Trick. So while I negotiate this bit of terrain and get across this drainage line and go down the other side, let's cross across even to James and see what he's up to on bush. I'll see you just now.
You on? Louise? Sorry about this. Louise, we have got full audio here. Okay, everybody, sorry about that. Let me start that again. My name is James Hendry. We're on a bush walk today here in the 8 million acres of the Kruger National Park. Jandre is on camera. As I was just explaining, he's got sort of a sleeveless vest on. It sort of exposes his muscles to the elements. Stefan is on security detail, and we're going to take you on a little journey of adventure through the bush on foot. Now, for those of you who are perhaps new viewers, you're of course most welcome. Hashtag Safari Live if you want to ask us any questions, or questions at WildEarth.tv if you want to send us an email. The idea behind this walk is to discover some of the smaller things in the bush. If we do come across some big animals, well, then it's always wonderful to view them on foot, but it's not going to be a specific tracking expedition unless we find some very fresh tracks. We'll be looking for insects and birds and tracks and all the sort of medicinal plants and other interesting little things that we sometimes miss in the car. Right, the first thing we're going to do is head down into this drainage line here and see what was moving around there during the course of the night time. It is of course summer, and so all of the insects are out, the birds are breeding, so we're looking for nests. There's a wonderful dawn chorus going on all around us at the moment, and it's just very special to be out on foot without any other noise but the sound of our feet falling on this ancient African wilderness. Right. The first thing I'll show you here today is this tree here. Now, it's quite an interesting one because it often is misidentified as a much more common tree called the knobthorn tree. It's an acacia, and you can see the blackness of these thorns. Can you see the little black tips on the edges of the thorns, Chandra? Can you see them? Marvelous. The black tips to these thorns give this tree its common name. Its common name is the black monkey thorn. I'm not sure where the monkey comes from, but you can see why they're called black monkey thorns. Vicious things. And I mean, were I to try and rub my hand over the top of this tree, I would tear the flesh off of my hand. The giraffe will come along here and wrap its tongue over the top of this leaf, of this branch, and pull the leaves off with its tongue. How it does that is absolutely beyond me. We think maybe there's a lot of saliva that's produced by the giraffe that allows them to kind of pull off the thorns. At the same time, if you feel a dead giraffe's tongue, it's not a kind of hard leathery thing, it's actually quite soft. So maybe the epidermal layer or top layer of the tongue just replaces itself very often. We think maybe that's how they do it. But to me, it's a bit of a... So Peter, he's going to give you an update on his expedition. Chandра's got the camera stuck in the tree. We'll try and extricate it, and we'll see you just now.
Right, well, some spider webs. We've actually left the leopard again, whipped around to the other road. We are now close to one of the old hyena dens, and I just want to see, there was a report of the lion coming through here, heading east, so I'll hopefully catch up with him on the next road again. He's moving very, very fast. In fact, through the thicker bush he's moving faster than we could earlier, which is why he seems to have given us the slip for now. I'm not sure which line it is, but I presume one of the Birmingham's. Morning, Anthony. Welcome on safari as always. And are you wondering? Oh, there's a nice. So we've been talking about this just driving along on the vehicle here, just how beautiful the sunrise is. Quite like that. There's a nice view, the road and the tree and the sun, a very sort of early morning African scene. And yeah, it's a bit, I always feel people sometimes say elephants have a very insufficient or not a good digestive system, but at the same time elephants have lived for thousands of years. And what I mean to say with that is you get some hunters like leopard would be more efficient when it comes to stalking and pouncing, but you know, nothing is as efficient as lions when it comes to hunting buffalo. So all hunters that have survived for, you know, many generations would be very sufficient. Wild dogs are extremely efficient hunters, and you know, in terms of sort of hunt effort relative to actual getting food outcome, probably it's the statistically, wild dogs would be the most efficient, but they're all efficient just in different ways and different sort of hunting strategies and approaches to it. Just checking it for tracks, unit tracks. Yarn. Wie is man? Kan ek jou 'n paar minute join daarso? Dankie. Ek dink daar sit nog 'n hengway daar, is nog nie lank wees op dit nie. Guys, that was obviously very good news for us. One of the other game drives have got to fly. Hopefully we'll find.
I've just come out of that really thick country, folks, and it's hard to negotiate through there, hard to see anything as well. We turned the engine off a couple of times, listened out for any alarm calls. Wasn't anything. I think he's gone down in this drainage line. He potentially could come out on this road down here. We're going to go down and then hang a left and see what we come up with. It's frustrating, but at the same time exciting when we just saw him drop down into the drainage line. I think it's that Birmingham boy that's been around for the last few days on the other side of the reserve, the one with the sore eye. He looked pretty good. He looked like he was walking nicely. He wasn't limping or anything like that. So hopefully we're going to catch up with him. All we've got to do is try and intercept him crossing this road. So keeping our eyes peeled here. The interesting thing was also that Brent came up on quarantine and he said he saw this line and he thought there was a female there as well from a distance.
Well, very good example of how well the teamwork of the different safari vehicles works. We've got this lion again. We haven't actually seen him from the front. I will have a look just now, but I've got a strong feeling that it's obviously one of the Birmingham boys. And I think possibly even that guy that had the injury under the eye a number of times over the last while. As he's walking away, just look down there, or where he's walking. Little footpath that he's moving along. For things that we see from the drones is just a network, like the veins of the sort of footpaths in the bush. Obviously, we just come past the waterhole here, Treehouse Dam in the back, and footpaths would converge on waterholes, or sort of typically animals onto the side. Particular. Exactly the way he's walking, and a lot of these old tracks, well, a lot of the old roads that we have around here are actually from old animal footpaths that we've been become a little track for cars, and then at the time we use them as old tracks would be a better word than roads. Just go around him a bit towards the eastern horizon again. Big male, he's got that full mane. He's about 5 years old, give or take a few months. Anyway. Might be something that he's looking for hunting-wise, but his main focus here is not hunting. But if opportunity presents itself, any hunter will always hunt. See the way he's looking again. He's definitely seeing something. I can't see what it is. What is that? Movement of something. Oh, it's a buffalo. If you look straight through here. Just through there, you can just try and show you. There it is. Just there. Excuse me. Oh, sneeze. I think he's actually avoiding this buffalo. Now, on his own, it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult and even very dangerous for him to hunt a buffalo on his own. They would normally, as a coalition, 2 or 3 of them together, they would be very successful buffalo hunters. But on his own, that would just be a risk that would be pointless for him to take. You see him? Oh, there he goes. Yeah, perfect. So he's rather choosing to avoid it, which is wise. Bright, you were just, I think Bright was the name. Help me if the name is correct. You're just asking if Bryce, nice name, Bryce. You were wondering if all big cats purr. Any cats that you really hear purr quite often actually would be cheetah when you do see them. We don't see a lot of cheetah, but they do a more purr-like sound. Leopard and lion, not really. All these brush we're driving through, this is brush that's very tough and copes with elephant populations. There he goes, let's just have a look again. And cope with elephant populations and buffalo herds. So some of these branches we're driving over, they just pop up again afterwards. So just in case this is maybe the first time you're following something with us off-road. But yeah, he's definitely on a mission. Now, not so long ago, in the last week or so, last 2 weeks, there's been some sort of minor, what shall we say, political shifts, if you want, in the lion population, or these 5 males specifically. There was a little bit of inter-coalition arguments, presumably having something to do with mating opportunities or females. So he's been on his own mostly, this male, but he is part of a 5-male coalition. Birmingham boys, if you've joined us over the last couple of days for Big Cat Week, there's been some highlights and explanations of the Birmingham boys and some of the history. Very interesting lions. But it's been quite a while now since he's been with the rest of his group. Guys, any stations from the west in the area of Gowrie, Main, that copy? Oh, look at that. Look at that. There was a lot of bush to follow him through. You can see his right eye, in fact, it's so much better now. About a week ago, that was almost swollen shut, covered in blood, one of the injuries he carried, but wild lions typically have a lot of injuries like this, so. Oh, he's going to walk down the road for a bit. Lions actually do this very often. The road is obviously an easy place for him to walk, nice and clear, soft sand, or no sticks and things to worry about. Wow. Well, that's how far we're going to go with him. This is one of the human boundaries. We've explained this a few times before. It's one large open ecological area, but different people own different parts of the land, so we don't go everywhere. But he's heading south. Good to see him, good to know he's in good shape. And yeah, I think Hayden might be getting some line for us later on as well if all goes well. And but for now, James is going to take you along on the walk, and we'll see you back in a bit.
We're just looking, everybody, inside here. There was a squirrel alarm calling. Somewhere in here. Now, squirrels are alarm call at any kind of predator, be it an avian one like an eagle, a terrestrial one like a leopard, or something like a snake which could be climbing in the trees or on the ground. They don't fly too much in this area. And they have got incredible vision. I've heard squirrels alarm calling and gone to check the tree and found the squirrel, and eventually found a leopard sort of 100 yards away or 100 meters away. And so they've got amazing vision. So while the squirrels are just inside here alarm calling, we're not necessarily that close to whatever it was that made them upset. We're just going to do a quick turn around here, and then there's some giant eagle owls calling behind us there, and we'll go across and see if we can't find them in their tree, hopefully on a nest. So we'll just do a quick turn through here. Just carefully watching to see what might be in the bush. You can hear lots of birds going. White-browed scrub robins, doves. We had a lovely little interaction with some tawny-flanked priniers just now. Now, they're fairly nondescript, but they were giving a real aerial display. Impossible to film, of course. Well, not without making you extremely nauseous. We'll head here, Andre. Right. Now, while we're walking along here, Connie, thank you for your question. And the carrion plant smells like it eats flesh, but it actually just smells like rotting flesh. And that's because it obviously is pollinated. Look at the spider. It's because it's pollinated, Connie, by some kind of probably nocturnal moth that eats carrion or beetle. Isn't that beautiful? Does that help you with the hand behind?
Yeah, good.
Isn't that lovely, everybody? Tiny little spider, bright green. I don't know what kind of spider it is. It's one of the orb web spiders. There he goes. Now, we get lots of different kinds of spiders, of course. An orb web spider is one like this, the kind of traditional spider that sets its web up between 2 points like this, between these 2 trees. They put out some strands to support the web, and then they build in those concentric sort of circles or geometric shapes, depending on how many support strands they have. Most of us spiders, of course, do not build webs like this. We've got funnel web spiders and baboon spiders, which are like tarantulas, jumping spiders, which are hunters, wolf spiders, which lurk around at night time. They're also hunters. So spiders like the violin spider, which lives.
Some of the Birmingham boys are on Arathusa, so I've come up here. And you know when you're late for a meeting, you know when you're late for an appointment because the traffic's really bad? Yeah, I've got traffic. I've got a breeding herd of elephant here. And obviously we don't want to startle them, and we want to be very, very gentle as we approach always. And the whole idea about approaching a breeding herd of elephants is just go in slowly, slowly, let them know you're here, no startling. Just make sure you're checking all around you as well, because you could just drive right into the center of the herd, and there's elephants over here, there's elephants over here, and then you're actually committed to a situation where you can't move, and you've got to be very careful. It's quite important that you know, you respect the situation that they're in. They're a very, very tight-knit family group, and I definitely have got elephant all around us at the moment. So just let them get used to us, and we'll just drive on past. But we do have two of the Birmingham boys just up around the corner here, and there's a bit of traffic at the moment. How fantastic though. What a beautiful morning it is here in the Sabi Sands. Great to be back in the vehicle. Look at that, beautiful. Lot of elephant here. So nice, so peaceful. We have a lot of elephant around us at the moment, so just going to take it very, very slowly here. It's a big herd. And you can see there's about 6 or 7, 8 tails. The other one, look at that little baby. How beautiful is that? That's a youngster. Wow, that's not very old at all. Probably only a couple of months old, I'd say. Gorgeous little babies. You've got some individuals over here. The interesting thing is also about elephants here in Sabi Sands. They're very, very conditioned or habituated to the vehicle, but you still have to be very respectful, because as I said, this breeding herd, this tight knit family, there could be a couple of breeding herds that have met up, and breeding herds normally add up to about sort of 11 to 15 individuals, 9 to 15 individuals, and then when you do see those big herds, it's normally several family groups, several breeding herds that have met up and are just grazing or browsing together through the vegetation. But if we were to startle one of the animals, and the matriarch didn't like that, she would rally the troops and get all the youngsters into a circle, and then the situation could be that, you know, she's not comfortable with us being around here. So really important that we look at it as a little, I think it's impala crossing the road up there ahead as well. Lots of these youngsters are really funny. They're just experiencing life, and they've got the protection of the herd around them, so they have a tendency to be a bit more playful. There's a really young one up there as well. So it just so happens that you can drive along this road many a time and not see an animal, but we do have a traffic jam, and what a traffic jam it is. I love it, absolutely love it. And how wonderful has the elephant encounters been over the past week on Big Cat Week? Fantastic encounters with Peter and Jamie, and amazing stuff with James the other morning, that beautiful big bull. Scott and Brent both walking up onto elephants. There's a little tiny one just about to come. Look at him, just sticking his, just come out there. So when the animals are that age as well, the mothers and the matriarch are very, very protective over the situation. Look how beautiful that is. And I'm just sitting back this distance, folks, because the vegetation is very, very thick here. I'm not sure how many elephant there are around, and I don't want to push them off the road. They're very, very comfortable. It's not like they're passing. They're static. They're grazing, browsing on whatever those, I can't quite see from this distance, but they're well into a feeding time. Look at that little baby. How beautiful is that? So we're still waiting for the rain. It hasn't come yet. There's a lot of activity on the reserves. Beautiful little creature. You'll probably creep up a little bit closer, just getting a gauge of you can see some animals over here. I think they probably pass around the other side. Bull there. Very hard to see in this vegetation. We'll just creep up a little bit closer. I can see there through to see if there's any more individuals. Once they pass, and I'm happy that there's no others there, and we're not cutting off the herd. Splitting the herd is always not ideal, particularly, as I said, with those youngsters, and huge respect, huge care. Remembering we are visitors in their environment. We are visitors in this theatre. Magic. So what we might do is, just whilst we're waiting for this traffic jam, I'll tell you, the frustrations of life in the bush, eh? Whilst we wait for this traffic jam, let's cross over to James. I'm sure he's got something interesting.
These bugs tend to smell. They tend to have a vicious kind of ability to give off foul smelling that defend them. You got him there? Yes? Right, and you can see he's got a beautiful white belly, and he's called a shield bug. I mean, there are probably thousands of species of shield bug, but this particular one is the most amazing starling sort of shaped colour, or starling-like colour. I'm going to turn him around to camera a bit. How's that, Chandra? So there you can see the amazing iridescent greens and blues and red. He's almost got orange eyes like a Cape glossy starling. You can see there's orange bits there. Like I say, these shield bugs, do you remember the bugs are actually in all so we now generic term for any kind of creepy crawly that gets into our beds at night, and we try and spray a can of insecticide on. But bugs are actually a very specific kind of insects. Again, tens of thousands of species of them, but they're different from beetles and different from dragonflies, which in turn are different from the flies, and are different from the bees and the wasps. So that's a shield bug. Now there's another thing here, Jean, I've just spotted. I think this was the blighter that bit me. Worried for my safety and grateful for the sacrifice that I am making, of course, for your edification and entertainment. But fear not, I'll be all right. Come on, Jean. I'm just kidding, everybody. I'm not really limping. Now, Doug in Connecticut, you've asked some very interesting questions about, I've just got to get Jean underneath here. He's carrying about 75 kilograms of equipment. Doug, I will answer your question. Thank you, Jean. Now, not only have I been savaged by the insecta of the area, but you've beaten me with a stick, the tree. Doug, if you want to know if there's any kind of minimum distance that we need to be able to see when we're in the bush to make it safe for us to walk, Doug, there's no real minimum. You do need, I mean, obviously the more open the area, the better it is, and the thicker the area, the slower you're going to walk, the quieter you're going to talk, so that you can hear what's going on, because animals do kind of, you can hear them moving through very thick bush, and it also depends on how many people that you have with you. So if I was guiding 8 people on a walking safari, I would be very reticent to walk through a very thick area. We'd walk through it very slowly and very carefully, stopping every few seconds to listen. But when there are 2 or 3 of us, we can walk a little bit more quickly. When there are 2 or 3, just watch out here, Jean, you can catch yourself. When there are 2 or 3 people who know what they're doing in the bush, then it's much better. Then you can move a bit quicker. So it just depends on the experience of the people you're with. Are you on fresh tracks? Are you not? Is this a known area for certain animals? So there's no real hard and fast rule about how thick it needs to be in this large jackalberry tree here. The jackalberry tree is one of our most iconic trees. They grow along these drainage line areas.
Now it's known as a Senegal lapwing. We used to call it a black-winged plover, was the older name for it. And they make these perfectly camouflaged nests. And the eggs itself also, if the parent isn't there to sit on them, then the eggs are Have a look at this beautiful bird. West actually for her usual area, so it seems there might be some sort of passing on the line.
Well, look what we have. And we're about probably 10 feet away from them. The line that Peter was with this morning, I think, I haven't had a confirmation, but I think it was that male that we were going down through the drainage line after as well. He peeled around the other way, which is fantastic, and that's the beauty of having several vehicles. He picked up on that Birmingham boy, and I think that's the one that has the sore eye that was over on Djuma. I'm on Arathusa Game Reserve at the moment, a magnificent game reserve. And the guides here have been always fantastic in letting us know what's going on. Just came down the road, and sure enough, here boys. Now these 2 boys and their other 3 either brothers or associates in their coalition. It's normally brothers, not always, but normally brothers from the same litter that may form a coalition, and the coalition is formed for strength and to maximize chances of takeovers, and these boys have definitely established themselves here. It's really great for me to see, because when I first met them excuse me please, when I first met them, it was actually Big Cat Week last year, and we were driving along the road, and VM was on camera, and we just saw a little tail flick, a fly, and pesky fly, a tail flicked up in the air, and VM said that just like that, the tail flick. VM said, stop, and we drove over, and sure enough, it was the 5 of them, and that's when they were, flying under the radar. And their manes have developed massively, because when I first saw them a year ago, when they were about probably 4.5 years of age, their manes were still, they're on. Yeah, copy Jamie, with the Ngala, and just myself on lock. Sorry folks, just letting, Jamie was just interested to know if I'd made it down here. Jamie's just telling me there's a lot of action going. I'm just taking a few photos, folks, because I haven't seen these guys for quite some time. So you might hear my camera clicking away. So I've got a really nice question from Vanessa. Hi Vanessa, great to have you with us. Vanessa's asking about the lion's mane and whether the colour has any significance in the colour of the mane. Vanessa, it is very, very similar to humans, as your question asked, whether it's just different colours, different coloration. Some males will have very dark manes, others will have very, very blonde manes. It'll be a genetic line or a genetic sort of trait that is in a particular region, and some will have darker manes than others, so I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it, but that mane does play a very, very important role. But thank you, Vanessa, for your question. Hopefully that answered it for you. Variations right across Africa. I've seen very, very black mane lions in Namibia, and I've seen very, very light mane lions in Namibia as well, so they all differ. One particular individual here, who out of the Birmingham boys that I had an encounter with back in Big Cat Week last year, and he was a very, very blonde male lion. His mane was really pale in colour, and it may have darkened up now. It could be one of these guys. As I said, I haven't seen these guys for 6 months, but he had a very, very blonde mane, and I came around the corner, and there he was sitting on the road, and he walked right past me, so close to me. These are beautiful, these guys. I just love them. The Birmingham boys, my favourite coalition of male lions here. But it's just an incredible thing. The mane sort of serves as a display of size and strength, but it also gives the animal a great sort of buffer, if you would like to say, or for want of a better word, when they do fight, if another male does grab them around that mane, it is some form of sort of a protection, I suppose, that even though they will penetrate that mane, but it just is a little bit more of armoury, quite conspicuous with those males, so they are detected by prey much more easily. Hence the females without the mane are a little bit more sleek and inconspicuous. Good, thanks, mate. Just might have heard another safari vehicle, another game vehicle turn up behind us. You might hear some people talking, so it's always important that we share these sightings. But Wilma has got a fantastic question on that we've just received. Welcome aboard, Wilma. Thanks for being with us this morning. And Wilma, your question is, you always notice that lions start feeding from the back end of their animal, and why is this? Well, Wilma, there's several reasons for it, and it's predominantly that area, or the soft for first, and once those are all finished, they'll start to go for, and they'll start to probably have a little rest and then carry on. And the pecking order is normally the most dominant animals are going for getting in there first, and the less dominant have to wait their turn. And you do hear kill, particularly when it's a big pride or what they call a super pride, numbers up to 40 sometimes up in the East Africa. They don't really occur down in South Africa, but you get on Serengeti and Masai Mara, these massive super prides which are incredibly fractious coalitions of males, gangs, and like gang warfare. Very, very tricky to be in those. But down here where we've got these male lions, there still will be a hierarchy between the 5 Birmingham boys. Look at that. Just put his foot on his brother there. I just want to take a quick picture of that, folks. So I got a good question from Dorse in Pittsburgh. Welcome aboard to you, and thanks for joining us. It's great to have you on board in this beautiful morning here on Sabi Sands, on Arathusa Game Reserve, where I am right now, with these two of the 5 of the coalition of Birmingham boys, they're known as. And your question is whether the other individual that we've been seeing the last few days will be allowed back in. Absolutely, Dorse. He'll be allowed back in for sure. There might be a little bit of a greeting or whatever carry on when they meet, but there's no sort of expulsion from this, particularly if it is a brother, and they are 5 brothers. We're not sure. As I said before, it is normally a brother. Coalitions are normally brothers from the same or the same pride that have broken away when they got to an age where they were a threat. But he will definitely be allowed back in, so there's no worries about that. Thank you very much for your question. Just wanted to take a few pictures. I think that's the blonde male over there, folks, the one that I was talking about. It's just got his head up now. I just want to take a few ID photos, so please excuse me clicking away. Oh wow, I think that is him. Well, I think these guys are going to be here for some time, so that's absolutely great that they're here and we've found them. Let's cross again to James. He's always got something interesting on that bushwalk, and we'll be right here if anything changes.
Look everyone, it's a woodland kingfisher. Not balletic and ridiculous fashion. It's wonderful to see. And there is the one. The other one's flown off lines as they come back from equatorial Africa like little fighter jets. What are you laughing at, Jean-Andre? There they go. Oh, here we go. Come right here, Jean. We'll just get them silhouetted again against the sky. Lots of them, and they'll love these dead trees because they've got holes in them, and these kingfishers like to live. There's one and there's the other. Can you see them both? It's wonderful. The sky is this wonderful golden grey colour. There are a whole lot more birds sitting on a dead tree over there to the left hand side. Some hornbills and some doves enjoying the same view. Oh, look! Jean-Andre, there's a Djuma, African harrier hawk, being absolutely attacked by a fork-tailed drongo. All the other birds have flown away. You can hear them alarm calling. Well done. Good job, Jean. Not easy being a cameraman out here, I tell you what, especially on foot. Alright, let's head back to Hayden with the flat cat as they've been described, and we'll carry on walking along the drainage line here.
Because those elephant that we were blocking the road for us, that we had to sit there for about 10 minutes, they are just over behind us, probably about 500 metres. So if they come down this way, there'll definitely be some action. The Birmingham boys here will definitely hop out of the way. There's no contest with elephant, that's for sure, and particularly when you've got these elephant that have got such youngsters, they'll definitely push the lines well out of the way. But they'll also make a quick exit themselves. Now, I'm taking a few images as I go here for the simple reason that I want to try and get IDs on these Birmingham boys myself. I want to be able to get individual shots of them so I can just remember them. And I really urge you to take some screenshots. So many people do beautiful screenshots. Some of the screenshots I've seen of late are just incredible. I really don't know how you do it. You've got such great eyes out there, and all of you that are with us this morning always post fantastic screenshots on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. It's just fantastic to spread the word how wonderful these animals are. And I really have to do a big shout out to the Djuma junkies who have always been superb in posting things like that, and really great support, and Wild Earth Safari fans page, just great images, and there's loads of others as well. All you people out there that take screenshots and post them, it's such a fantastic thing for us to. So whilst we've got these flat cats, of course I'll come back to you if there's any movement or if that elephant interaction occurs. And the great thing this morning is Peter's out. I think Peter might be looking for leopard. I'm not really sure where he is at the moment, but I know James has got something leopard-like. Let's cross over to see him and see what he's up to.
I don't know about leopard-like, but it's got a leopardish name. And this particular reptile that I'm about to reveal is not a very clever one. His bottom is sticking out the back end of this sort of grassy patch here, and rather like a 2-year-old human being who thinks they can't be seen when they hide their faces. That's what this tortoise is doing. Let's have a look here. There she is. Or he is. Enormous leopard tortoise. That's where the head is. If we sit here for long enough, the head will pop out. Maybe not pop, just stick gently out. Isn't that lovely? See the scales on his front feet? You can possibly just see his snout sticking out there. He won't stick it out, I don't think, while I'm here. Certainly if there's any movement at all. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Look at that, look at it. Look at his wizened old face. Doesn't he look like he's got some stories to tell? They don't speak very good English though, so unfortunately we're unable to have the stories that they have. This tortoise is probably, I don't know, probably 50 years old. Just spectacular. They can live for more than 100 years. The only thing that will eat one of these things when they get to this size would be something like a ground hornbill, and I've just heard them calling off to the south here. Ground hornbill looks like an enormous black turkey with a red kind of wattles, with red wattles on the neck. And they've got a chisel-like beak that they can smash into the top of these tortoises and they pull out the flesh. But other than that, not much will get hold of this tortoise. We did see those giant eagle owls, by the way, but as soon as they saw us coming, I mean, from about 100 meters, 300 feet, they flew away. So let's put him back in there, and we'll just show you the back side of him and how he was attempting to hide. It's really rather pathetic attempt. This is how he was spotted. They're not hiding very effectively at all. Wonderful stuff. Now, I think the time has come for a bit of breakfast. Do you like some breakfast, Jean-Andre? Right. This tree has got some vicious thorns on it. You can see, where's the best example? Let's have a look at these ones here, Jean-Andre. Look at those vicious thorns. They will go through a car tire. But they're one of the elephant's favorite foods. And in the absence of elephants, this zebrawood tree will grow into a sort of tree that you can plank and make into furniture or certainly musical instruments. Apparently it makes very nice clarinets. I'm not a clarinet player myself. Jean-Andre, are you a clarinet player? No. But because it's got so many thorns, you can often tell that the taste of the leaves will probably be quite nice because they don't have necessarily they don't necessarily invest in chemical protection. So I'm going to give this to Jean-Andre. There we go. Is that delicious, Jean-Andre? There we go. See? And a lot of the trees out here that don't have thorns on them will taste very chemically, very tanniny. These, very edible. Look, I'm not going to cook them up and eat them with my my filet mignon, for example, but they're certainly not offensive. And so there are two strategies out here that animals employ. One, they'll have thorns, physical kind of hindrances to animals eating them, and the other is the chemical kind, and that makes the leaves really taste bad. And you can absolutely taste the difference as a human being. Let's wander along the drainage line. We're going to go across to Peter, get an update from him.
We don't see it all that often. We see it often, but we don't get to actually look at it all that often. They tend to be a little bit skittish sometimes. And this is a female steenbok. And she's heavily pregnant. She's going to have a little lamb. And when I say little lamb, I really do mean that. This is the smallest antelope we get in these parts. Or in this part of sort of Africa where we are. You get a few other species of smaller antelope, but not here. And she's going to have a tiny little lamb quite soon. The male steenbok will be somewhere here as well. Steenbok are monogamous, so male and female form a permanent bond. Quite well see the male. They have not very large territories, normally sort of 2 to 5. So let's say average of, it's an average of 5 hectares, a little bit smaller actually. That's about sort of 2 to 5 would be about 6 to 15 acres in terms of the area that they live and move around in. Beautiful morning. We were all gearing up for a super hot day today. That's what was predicted. This is from an elephant causing a roadblock. Let's see, just push the tree over basically to get to that's the leaves at the top, but he was in this case trying to get to the roots. There you can see some of the roots sticking up a couple of days back. And where shall we go? I think we should go to the hyena den. Look at that stunning sky. Love it in the mornings. Not that far from the hyena den, so you might as well stick with us, or unless something else happens, lions or tigers or bears, as Keats I think was said in his poem. Good good weather for the den, so we'll go have a look there, and then we'll go up towards Buffelshoek Dam, see what's happening that side. Brent and them are on the tracks of a female leopard, most likely Karula. Very interesting actually, those of you that follow the cats carefully. Last night, I believe it was Karula that was seen briefly with James, which was very exciting because we'd been looking for her, and then we found Mvula. It was just, all happening. And Karula is very far south and west of where she normally is. She is close to Triple M, which is, for those of you again that know the area well, between us and Arathusa, that sort of main road. That's where she was seen, and that's right sort of, she used to go traditionally that far, but Shadow has been using that area more and more. So it seems that Shadow is maybe moving down slightly, a little bit further south and west, and Karula is moving into this space, which would be interesting as well, because that would mean Tandi, her other daughter who's to the east, could move in as well. And if this is maybe your first safari with us, I apologize if that sounded like Greek to you. We're just talking about and hypothesizing around the different leopard females here and how they could influence each other's territories or areas that they live in. There's always a bit of a flux and a move and a constant sort of subtle change, or a dance if you want, other areas. And we like to see them, so I'd like to talk about how they're doing and where they're doing it. Well, that's our plan. And we're going to continue along. As I said, we're going to go to the hyena den quickly. It's not far from here, 5 minutes or so. If there's activity, we'll get you back to us. In the meantime, James has got something interesting for you on the walk. Go ahead.
Well, everybody. And you probably can't see top from bottom, perhaps. The bottom is the sort of that's the super zoom. Sap, see the outside is just really talking and the whole life it's quite. But they also the I don't know, a city-dwelling banker or a lawyer, but in fact it is the generic name of this kind of ant that makes a nest like that. You see that there, Jean-Andre? That's the entrance to the subterranean nest of the Polyrhynchus ant. And if we zoom out again, I'll try and show you the actual ant itself. They're very clever at hiding. Here's one here on the air. It's going up the branch. You got him there. He's here where my stick is. My stick is pointing to him. There he is. Got him there? Sorry, this is very difficult, everybody. This is not easy to try and film one of these things. They move very quickly. There we go. That is the Polyrhynchus ant. And while I'm not going to do this for you now, they actually taste really nice. They, if you can eat the abdomen, and it tastes like a delicious lemon drop. They've got sort of probably ascorbic acid of some kind in them as a defense, and it does taste really nice. So Jean-Andre, you can see there, is a master of his craft, filming the Polyrhynchus ant as they fossick about on this spike thorn bush. And I like this bush because it has a wonderful Latin name. Its Latin name is Gymnosporia buxifolia. And if you ever need to warm your mouth up in the morning and it's cold and you're about to make a speech, say Gymnosporia buxifolia 47 times and you will be warm and ready to speak. Right, on we go. We haven't Sorry, before we move on from here, with this beautiful hibiscus flower. Fever from the ticks here, nothing like as bad as some of the Lyme's disease that you do get in the US. Excuse me. And you want to know if there's anything else that does. Let's go. Sorry, Marianne, I'll get back to your question now. The only thing you've got to watch out for fly-wise is a tsetse fly. Let's head across to Peter. He's got something very small and very sweet to show you.
Well, luck's on our side when it comes to the hyena. I haven't actually been here for a few days. I was yesterday, I was here briefly, slippery slope, and they weren't here, and I haven't been here too many other times the last few days, but this little guy is just absolutely adorable. I mean, it's not just a sort of a beautiful little animal, but just in the stage of its life now as well. It's at that stage where it's starting to explore. I know yesterday on drive it actually came down the termite mound all the way for the first time, and this will start going on more and more now. And the same with, if you compare that to human babies, at first they don't walk so well, and then when they can walk, they start to walk around a little bit, and then once they're mobile, they start getting very sort of curious about their surroundings. And this is exactly where this young lady is at now. I keep saying him, but it's more just sort of manner of speaking. It would most likely be a female cub. Beautiful, devoted mother. Probably her first litter, just looking at her condition. Well, almost certainly her first litter. And a lot of patience. She's been a great mum, what we can see. Being very happy to provide herself as the playground and the jungle gym for young hyena to play on and get those muscles working and coordination getting better. And this is going to be a lovely journey over the next couple of weeks and months, seeing this youngster grow up. But I think the young one will come back out again. Quite often multiple chambers. You'll also be able to go through the den and come out at another entrance. There's like a back entrance. Oh, there's one of his favorite things to hunt. Mum's ear. Wants to explore. You can see it's looking at us. There it's sniffing an ant. And it's just taking, as you can hear, some pictures here. Yeah, this is a beautiful, it really is a beautiful setting for taking images. I mean, this has been one of the sort of factors of having such a good time here. Is obviously, I mean, I don't have to say this, but super cute baby animal, healthy, beautiful mum, lovely interaction and playing, but also that sensitivity between them. That's all been part of it. But like to capture moments and take pictures and take images, so it's been brilliant. And also, just while we're doing that, I wouldn't mind giving for grabbing beautiful screenshots and videos and highlights, and you've been posting them on our pages, personal pages, on my page. Thank you so much. Community is the one word, I guess.